Hello there, Qckslvrslash here, and today we have a video courtesy of Amagi. Once again, we are on ranked mountain range, and this time in the tier 8 Japanese battleship, the Amagi. And one of the things that stood out the second this season began was a lot of these ranked maps were the clan battle maps. And that gives you a little bit of insight into the map, having played through clan battles, but it also made me a little salty because I got more than enough of these maps during clan battles. I really didn't need to see them again this soon going into a ranked season. Now obviously Amagi was probably waiting around in queue a bit because he's loaded in, but he's not moving yet. But you can see what the team is doing already. They're making a strong push into C. And this can work, but you've got to commit. Now the ship's leading the way is Z-23. It's got Hydro, but if we take a look at the enemy team, they've got a Hydro as well. Fortunately for the destroyers though, in this one, there are no ships with radar. And loading in myself, I was always interested. Are there ships with radar? And it doesn't matter if you're a destroyer, that should be something that stands out. Because if there are, you really ought to be putting yourself in a position to support that radar ship. They're going to go somewhere, they're going to pop that radar, and they're probably going to spot a destroyer sitting around in smoke. Now while the majority of the team are going to see, you can see the Akazuki in Alabama, they're kind of venturing across, and hopefully soon Amagi gets back to his computer and gets this Amagi underway, because the Amagi is a deadly ship. Arguably, in my opinion, probably the most dangerous as far as guns go of the tier 8 battleships. Now, what she has in strong gun performance, she lacks a little bit in kind of the survivability armor department, just in my experience. Like, she's no North Carolina. She cannot just go bow in and tank the crap out of enemies. But she's accurate. She's got a lot of guns in many turrets, and when you need the hurt to get laid down, she seems more often than not to be the ship doing it. Now, as Amagi loads in here, he chooses, I'm going to support C. They've already taken the cap. You can see 2 enemy ships so far, and really, beyond that, we don't know much about what the enemy is doing. They've definitely sent 1 ship over to B. It could just be a destroyer. Their main fleet could be there. We now see a Tirpitz going there, so if I'm this Akazuki, I'm starting to read this situation. Doesn't feel like 1 ship went to B, and now they're spotted. You can see they've sent a good chunk of their team over there, which immediately the reaction you want, in my opinion, to be having is, okay, this group at C, they've got a numbers advantage. They've got 5 ships to the enemy's looking like 2, maybe 3. Push your advantage, push it hard. A lot of clan battles, that's how we played. Because the game started off more or less passive until you figured out where the strength of the enemy fleet was. You then pushed into the weakness. It's worked for armies forever. You don't need to change it. Unfortunately, with none of the ships looking to commit, you don't want to be the only one running out. So Amagi turns around. If I had to guess, he's probably going to position himself somewhere in the middle of the map to just take advantage of as many targets as possible. And while they haven't kind of gotten that free cap in the form of A, they've got Charlie, which it's a hard cap to get. The problem being, if this enemy team kills this Akazuki, they've got A and B. The entire enemy team can move behind the main range and basically sit there and wait. And that, you know, is kind of the flaw, in my opinion, to this map. Is once a team establishes A and B, if you just don't choose to go to A, or B if you're the South team, there's no real good way to push out. You put a destroyer on each of those main islands, you can't come charging around, and you just get stuck. And one by one, you kind of lose yourself to attrition. H-Mang loops a set of shells through that gap in that little ridge there. Maybe it'll hit that enemy key. But he has more important things to be paying attention to in the form of a Z-23, a Kiev, and a Qckslvrslash. He's going to put one last volley out at this North Carolina because just sitting side on is really the best way to get into our armor, but the attention now has to go over to these ships at A. If something doesn't get done with them in reasonable order, you're gonna run out of just time. You can see with the one down and the two caps, they're already 100 points ahead, and they haven't held A all that long. And where I can see and have seen a lot of teams making mistakes is they get these two caps and then they don't consolidate. They kind of hang around here and then the rest of their team's up here, and that once again just separates them enough that you're now in a position to be able to outnumber them somewhere. Because that's a lot of the name of the game, is just have more overwhelming firepower than the enemy can bring in a given location, push through them, get a ship advantage, use that advantage to just continue rolling. And that's why I think World of Warships, more than World of Tanks, in my experience, really has some lopsided game. In Tanks, you can just find places to go hull down, bounce shells all day, and kind of just laugh as enemy tanks try to come at you. It's hard to do that in Warships. The best you have is maybe an island you can shoot over or some smoke, but unless you have friendly spotting, you're hopeless. Now H-Mang's using this gunfire to try to figure out where what I assume is their Qckslvrslash hiding inside that smoke, but the Qckslvrslash stops shooting. And it's probably for the best, because H-Mang's first volley in there missed, but that allows you to adjust. And as time ticks away, the enemy team's kind of just slowly building a bigger lead, making it harder and harder to come back. Because there's kind of a tipping point that you hit that even if they killed all but one enemy destroyer, that destroyer can just run in circles around the map getting chased, keeping that one cap to just win the game. And I've seen games like that. I have a replay or two where that's exactly what happens. They basically just stop shooting, they hit that speed boost, and just outrun the battleship or cruiser that's left to chase them. Now slowly, H-Mang, this Alabama, and the Mogami have made their way over to A. In the south, the Z-23 has kind of just been doing destroyer things, getting out on the flank and just trying to throw torpedoes, and while that works, hasn't really eaten down any of the health points of all those battleships. So more importantly than anything here, if they get back in this game, it's going to be focusing fire. And the Tirpitz has put itself in a very bad position. And I don't know if he just kind of didn't follow that one tenet that I've always kind of stated about ranked, is patience. I think he got impatient, wanted to push out, get some damage for himself, and probably be facing some pretty overwhelming fire, but side on Qckslvrslash, stopping to smoke. This is a shot you don't turn down. H-Mang waits, lines up, trying to figure out what they're doing, and there's a great hit. Just shy of 12,000 damage. Unfortunately, they lose the Mogami in the exchange. So now it's really back to focusing down fire. And the Tirpitz, being in the middle of the map, basically being reachable by every single gun on H-Mang's team, they, in my opinion, should be shooting it. Now, H-Mang is lining up the key because it's sitting inside on. And I question that because a little part of me thinks that that's more a saving strategy, going, you know what, this game doesn't look good, I'm gonna try to get damage. I do personally believe that just everyone focusing their fire on this Tirpitz in this situation is the best way to potentially salvage this, because then one battleship's done. Once that Tirpitz's done, well, now you start focusing one of those other BBs. If that Qckslvrslash reveals itself at any point in time, it's pretty much a goner. It's on next to no health. One good volley should be enough. And, well, with this Alabama volley, hopefully that's going to mean their Turpitz is gone. And it does, but not before the Turpitz gets one last volley out. HMang almost eating it, and now the key is sailing in reverse. The key is a lot of things. A well-armored ship, it is not. There's 5,000 damage, 4 overpens. That's how poorly armored it is. It just went straight out the other side. And, well, Z23 on the enemy team has decided, I'm going for Charlie. And a lot of what I'm seeing from this enemy team is just, it's greed. It's what loses you games. You've got a bunch of ships doing different things. If they all did one thing, like if they all chose, okay, let's just slam face first into this group in the north, probably would have worked out. But the destroyers went one way, a couple of the battleships went one way. You know, you've got the Kiev, the Qckslvrslash somewhere out here. And, well, they've only clawed back one kill. The game is almost over as that Z23 takes the cap. And, well, really, if HMang doesn't get a kill with this volley, this game's over. But he does exactly that. So that claws back a few precious points, but they're still on the clock. 3 of the caps all ticking up. 2 of them at least paused by friendlies now. Somehow the Monarch has made it past that Z23 without absolutely eating it. Even takes them out before the Akazuki torpedoes finishes them off. And, well, the HMang on this side of the mountain, he's got some side shots at that North Carolina, so there she goes. And things are suddenly even now. At least in the sense of just outright numbers. Now, this Kiev could prove a huge problem. Thankfully, HMang had the repair party just enough to kind of put off this damage that he's taken from this destroyer. And, well, help your ally out. Get rid of another ship. And that's what he does. Rear turrets all firing at that key. Between the Alabama and it, the key is almost gone. Looks like the Z23 missed with torpedoes, but that should be a win. So getting rid of this Kiev, fast little destroyer, it's going to be important. There's a good hit. Come on. Bam. Another kill. One more ship, a few more points regained. Now the issue run into here with that key also going down is you don't have the time to necessarily get every single cap, but for some reason this enemy Akazuki has decided, no, I got this, I'm gonna shoot. HMang picks up the high caliber, and well, this is gonna be the game. Sadly, I do not have a post battle, so we're gonna end on this final kill. Decent one from HMang, just shy of 100,000 damage, and the win. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing or giving it a thumbs up, and as always, I am Qckslvrslash, and I will have another one for you all later.